repeatedly complain at work? Do you also dread going into the office? Well, you might be experiencing job burnout, which can wreak havoc on your health as well as your happiness. And here with more on how to combat burning out at work is communication expert Jocelyn Herman-Sacchio. It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Signs of burnout. So many people might be experiencing this, but they can't pinpoint exactly what it is.
Yeah, well, there's 5, top telltale signs that you're really hitting that burnout wall. One is that you're repeatedly complaining. A complaint here and there is not so bad, but repeatedly complaining. Another is that you're frequently engaging in gossip. Another is that you dread going to work, or you're, chronically late. Another one is that you just feel overly tired, like you're stuck. You're not going anywhere.
Yes.
There might be a lid on what's possible. And then the last one is that you're really just cutting corners and not doing as good a job as you know you could. Sometimes you're even lying about what you're doing or not doing. I know you would never do that.
Oh,
Nobody
never,
watching
never.
would ever do that.
But some people do.
There are people that do
out
that. So the question is, not so much whether you're experiencing one or all of these symptoms. The question is, what's the source of the burnout and what's the solution?
Yeah, I was in a position at one time in my life where I felt fatigue. I felt tired all the time, and I just thought maybe I have too much to do in my life. I didn't realize until I got out of the job that it was the position that was making me feel so exhausted.
Yeah, and a lot of people misidentify the source of their exhaustion, thinking, if I just sleep more.
Sure.
At Landmark, we've coached over 2 million people on how to have extraordinary lives, and a lot of our life is spent at work. So the question, what we've come up with is 3 main sources of burnout and what to do about them.
Okay.
So the first source is not being connected to what really matters to you. And that's, very common for people. You start a job, you're excited, you're inspired about the difference you're going to make. I know nobody in DC can relate to this, right? And then you hit the reality of what it takes to get things done, and you start to get disheartened, frustrated. So oftentimes a question you could ask yourself in that situation is, what does having this job make possible that if I didn't have this job wouldn't be possible? And it could be something really simple, like it makes it possible to pay my bills,
yes,
go on vacation.
For a lot of people out there.
Yeah, exactly. Or it could be something, more like it gives me a chance to fulfill my higher purpose or make a difference. I had somebody in a program that I was coaching, and he was a very highly educated guy, and he had gotten a job selling juice. And it had turned into a job selling juice, right? But when I worked with him, he really got connected to why he took the job in the first place was to impact people's well-being. And he shifted it from selling juice to giving people an access to impact their well-being in a positive way.
So it really could be a matter of just changing the way you view what it is you're doing.
It's completely that, because, it isn't the circumstances that mess with you. It's your view of the circumstances that mess with you.
How do you know the difference between needing to leave your position versus just needing to get a break, to take a vacation?
Well, I think you have to first look at all the possible sources of burnout that you have something to say about, rather than deal with the job as the issue. Because one of the second source that we've found is a lack of integrity at work, and a lot of times people don't want to deal with that, and they think it's the job rather than all the stuff they haven't gotten done that they were supposed to get done. So if you have a lot of undone stuff, incomplete things, it's going to sap your energy at work and cause burnout. It's like a surefire way,
right?
That's
mentally overwhelming.
Totally, and it gets into a whole story about, I'm overwhelmed and the job is too much and it's not for me. And so what we recommend doing in that circumstance is getting it all on paper rather than in your head. Make a list of everything you haven't done, everything that you said you were going to do, that you didn't do, that people expected you to do, that you didn't do, that you expected yourself to do, that you didn't do. Get it on paper and deal with it in reality rather than in your story, right? And deal with it as either get it done, schedule a time to get it done, or be straight about you're not going to be getting that done.
Move on.
Yeah, exactly, because that creates space to create what's next versus being in constant catch-up mode.
Yes, and what's the third item?
The third item is really deadly. It's being in a constant complaint mode.
Oh, I hate complainers.
I know, it's terrible, right?
Yeah.
But everybody has complaints about their jobs or about their whatever, anything.
Some complaints are reasonable, but then there are those people that just go on and on and on. Yeah. Everything they're complaining about.
It's like their hobby to complain, right? But if you start talking about complaints a lot, either in your head or with people, it will send you into burnout town, one-way ticket, you know? So what we recommend in those circumstances is to turn your complaints into requests.
Ooh. Ooh.
And we are not good at requests as human beings. You know, we come home, we're like, oh, my neck hurts, it hurts, rather than, will you rub my neck?
Sure, you know? Let's get to the bottom of it.
Exactly. So people are like that at work as well. And if you don't turn it into a request, you can end up in this negative conversation that colors your view of everything at your job and everyone at your job, and all of a sudden it just starts to have this lens of that complaint. So you could turn it into a request, and that forces you to actually go to somebody that can do something about the situation rather than just complaining at the water cooler, if we even have water coolers anymore. I don't know, everybody's got their own thermos now, right? And it also gives you the chance to get an exception to the request, a decline, or a counteroffer.
All right, and if you'd like to get more information about avoiding job burnout or overcoming it, really, you can go to landmarkworldwide.com. Jesslyn, thanks so much for being here.
It's a pleasure. Thanks
really
so
good
much.
advice. And we'll be right back with much more Let's Talk Live.